This video is brought to you by John Robson Guitar Tuition. If you enjoy the content, please consider supporting the channel by enrolling on a course, purchasing some guitar lessons or a t-shirt, or you can join my Patreon. Now, on with the show. Hello chaps, welcome once again to John Robson Guitar Tuition. As always, I do hope you're well. What you just seen and heard there was me having a stab at the solo from Thin Lizzy's Dancing in the Moonlight, a song which originally appeared on the Bad Reputation album, but I did the version which most people are most familiar with, which I guess is the version from the live album, Live and Dangerous. So that's what the solo sounds like. Let's have a little bit of a look at what's going on in the solo.
Solo explanation.
Okay then, as always, we'll begin by looking at the chord sequence we're playing over. There it is, right there. Although it's worth mentioning that on the original recording, certainly the Live and Dangerous recording, it is tuned down a half step. Basically everything's tuned down to E flat. Nevertheless, the chord sequence sounds like this. Here we go. And it's worth commenting on that third line of the chord sequence where we do the same chords but in versions of them. So we get E minor going up to a D over F sharp and going up again to a C over G and then to a G. Okay, so it's a sort of a bit of an A kind of idea that you find a lot in songs where you'll do something, then do it again, then do something different, and then go back to the first thing again, which is essentially what we've got going on here. And that ascending part of the chord sequence becomes relevant towards in terms of what's going on in the solo. We'll come to that later. Anyway, let's take a look at what's going on lead guitar wise, because we've got a strong emphasis, a strong tonality of E minor there. No surprise to find out that we are actually making a lot of mileage out of an E minor pentatonic. Most of the action takes place in this position here, position 1. And let's just take a look at the first few licks that go like this. There we go. So, a couple of things I would say there. Repetition, you know. Yeah, there's clearly a repetitive element there. And there's a little bit of question and answer thing going on there, because we can think of all of this as a question part of the phrasing. And then the answer. Like that. It's very much kind of, here's one thing and then here's a response to it. You can also make the case that the phrasing here is, you know, repeating something and putting a different ending on it, you know. And then there you go. So basically the same kind of idea, but with a different ending. Very effective technique when it comes to you know, making a memorable solo. What have we got next? So after the again, just, you know, the other obvious bend in pattern 1 of the pentatonic scale, and then we get some slightly, only slightly, George Benson-y kind of moments here, or maybe was it Scott or was it Brian who played the solo? I think it's Scott Gorham who played the solo. Maybe you've been listening to some Wes Montgomery, because we've got some octave ideas going on here. Again, just taking an E minor pentatonic and moving it down, up and down the third string like that, with the octave note on top there. And that, if we just look back at the chord sequence again, takes us to the end of the second line. Now we've got that ascending part coming up next in the chord sequence. And this is where the solo really kind of builds a little bit of tension. It does that by the use of that ascending bass line in there. It feels like you're climbing towards something. And there's two things that are happening in the lead guitar that really increase the sense of tension. We're basically playing a repeating lick that's probably the fastest part of the solo. It goes like this. I'll play it slowly. So let's turn around so you can see we're doing this bend and those two notes there. That little pentatonic figure like that. So, play it up to speed. And that's the sound you hear on the track. So, apart from being, kind of the fastest, most kind of busy part of the solo, why is that increasing the tension? Well, it's all to do with something called rhythmic displacement. If we look at the number of beats that are kind of covered in that lick, it's basically played in triplets, and we've got the first beat of the bar, so one, and then second beat of the bar, third beat of the bar. So it's kind of lasting for 3 beats, 1, 2, 3, like that. And but we're playing in a time signature of 4 beats to the bar. So what's happening is every time that lick begins again, it's starting at a different point in relation to where the bar is, in relation to where the beat is, basically. And it gives it a sort of a displaced quality. It's why it's called rhythmic displacement. And it sounds just a little bit interesting, let's put it like that. I can't really describe it any better than that. It's a good way of making a repeating lick sound, somewhat more interesting than just playing the same thing over and over again. Play a lick that has a number of notes in it that isn't divisible by the number of beats in the bar, and it will naturally kind of begin to repeat unevenly across the beats. Then, as we come out of that lick, this was a bit of a tough one to work out, because what I initially thought it was that, and that just doesn't seem kind of quite, it doesn't fall easily under the fingers. Like that. And it just seemed easier to go down to the open strings like that to get it. And then it dawned on me, Live and Dangerous is an album that is, there's some debate about how much of it was actually live, shall we say. It's acknowledged that parts of it were retouched in the studio afterwards. And to me, that just seems like a fairly strong evidence that there was a bit of a punch in there, that the solo was fixed in the studio, and that part of the solo was, part that was repaired after the fact, as it were. Anyway, after that, we were back up to the pattern 1 of the pentatonic, and then just some kind of stuff around there. And then, as is always a good ploy, we conclude on the highest note in the solo. Like that, right up to the top end of position 2 of the pentatonic scale. Like that. Just makes things sound like they've reached a natural kind of climax to conclude on. So there you go. Some nice phrasing ideas, especially that that where the bass line is going up in the ascending part of the chord sequence, playing that busiest part of the solo there, the fastest part with that rhythmic displacement, repetition, you know, all that sort of stuff, phrasing, all the stuff I mentioned there. So take what you've learned here and go away and apply it and have some fun with it. And as always, you'll find a full tab in both Guitar Pro and PDF formats, along with a clip of me playing the solo, that explanation you've just seen there, and a jam track for you to play along with yourself. All of that is up on my Patreon page. There's the address, and the link is in the description. $3 or £2.50 a month gets you access to all of these additional resources that go along with these YouTube videos. A massive heartfelt thank you, as always, to everyone who supports me in that or any of the other ways, all of which are also linked downstairs in the description. And that is very much it for today, folks. Hope you've enjoyed the video and found it useful and informative in some small way, and if that's the case, please hit the subscribe button and the notification bell if you haven't already done so, and why not drop me a like while you're at it. Don't forget, as always, the live stream every Friday 5 PM UK time. We have a beer and talk about music and guitars. What a great way to kick off the weekend. I'd love to see you there if you can make it. But for now, I'll bid you all a good day and say thank you so much for watching. Thank you for your time. Look after yourselves, folks. Stay well, stay safe, and above all, stay sane. Bye for now.